So to start this video off, I wanted to do something a bit different than I usually do for all my other videos. I think you're here for one reason, might be several reasons, but all of you guys that are watching this video right now, I think you have one thing in common since you're on this specific video. And that is, I think you want to get better at sketching, right? Am I right? That's why you're here. So that's why I'm here, creating this video. I want to help you get better at sketching. That's what I do. I sketch things and I want to share it with people. So what do you have to do to get better at sketching, or at anything for that matter? You can always wish for things to happen, or skills to improve, or whatever you want. You can wish for it, but that's not gonna make you any closer to getting better at what it is you want, or getting whatever goal you're trying to reach, right? Wishing is not gonna help you out. So what I want you to do for this video is just grab a pencil or a pen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a pen, pencil, you can have one single marker, it doesn't matter. And a piece of paper, it can be an old envelope, or whatever you have laying around on your desk that you think can work as a piece of paper. So you have these two things. You have a pen of some sort, a pencil, you have a piece of paper. That's all you need for this video. So I want you to do yourself a favor and follow along in this video. Because if you do that, that will take you closer to your goal of getting better at sketching. If you just watch this video, that's fine too, but then I don't think you really want to get better at sketching, right? Because you're not implementing what you're learning. You gotta implement. That's the thing. You have to implement every single day to become great at something. That's just how it is. There are no shortcuts to getting great at something. So I'm trying to help you out here with this intro and this video. Like all my videos, I really want to help you get better at sketching, but I can't help you unless you start by helping yourself by implementing what you learn in these videos. One last thing, if you have a big sketchbook, or maybe you have a piece of printing paper just like this, a block like this of regular old printing paper, nothing fancy. If you have something like that, I want you to start today to start with the first sketch, and then you keep going for 365 days, which obviously is a year. And then when you come to the last day of the year, look back to the first sketch. And if you have been disciplined enough to sketch every single day, that's going to show some sick improvement if you look at the 365 sketch compared to day number 1. Day 365, put it right next to day 1 sketch, and you're gonna see a massive difference. And that's the only way to get better. You just have to keep going at it every single day. Even on the days you don't feel like it, try to just pick up the pen and just scribble something. Just keep those skills, just keep improving those skills every single day. And this doesn't just relate to sketching, it relates to basically anything you want to do in life. So with that said, let's grab your piece of paper, do yourself a favor, and follow along in this video. Alright, so I hope you have your pen and paper right in front of you right now as we start with this video. Doesn't matter, as I said, if you have a pen or a pencil, it really doesn't matter. So for this video, I think it's important to go back to the basics and the essentials of something before you start going into more advanced stuff, because you can't build anything, you can't build something on a soft foundation. So what we gotta do now is just to go through some exercises for sketching lines and sketching cylinders and circles. Later in the video, we're gonna do just a bit of basic marker sketching. This video is for you who just starting to to sketch and you want to improve your design sketching skills. It's also for you who might be sketching for a while and you want to go back to the basics. So let's get going. Let's start by exercise number 1. Lines right there. Hope you can see that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It says lines up in the corner. The paper I'm using is regular printing paper, so no marker paper here. So how can you get better at sketching lines? What you want to do is it's all about locking your wrist and keeping your elbow. You sketch with your elbow and your shoulder. That's basically how you get those smooth lines, smooth, quick lines. Also, the speed of your line is going to determine how smooth the line is going to be. The faster you sketch, the smoother the line. The slower you go with your hand, the more squiggly it's going to get. And it's gonna take you a while if you're just starting out to get those fast, smooth lines. So you can start by adding 2 dots like this. Some of you might have seen this exercise before. Then you want to try and hit those 2 lines with one single stroke. Alright? So we have 1 dot here, 1 dot here. And as you can see, I'm a bit rusty. That's the whole point of exercise. You want to get back into it. So I'm locking my wrist here. I'm not sketching with my wrist at all. That stays in the same position all the time. And I'm using my elbow and shoulder to get this line across from one circle to from one point to the other. And then you can start to like intersect these, so you can go from this line, right, this dot right here to this dot. See what happens if you can hit them. This is not easy, but the thing how I do it is I keep my eyes locked on this. I start by looking at the first dot, which is right here, and the second dot is right here. So I position the pen over the first dot, and then I switch and look over here to where I'm going. So it's exactly like when you're driving a car or riding a motorcycle. You wanna look far ahead where you're going, so you get a smooth curve up to that point. It's the same with sketching. So I know I'm right here now. I know my pen is over this point, right? So I want to look at this point now, because if I look at it, somehow my arm or my hand is going to get close to that point, since that's where I'm looking. Right? So you can try this out and fill out a couple of sheets of paper with this exercise. And if you want, you know, it's always fun to start connecting the dots and see what comes out of this. But that's a total different story. So that was one line exercise. For the second exercise, we're going to do ellipses. Bam! So what to think about when you're doing ellipses? I like to do them. I don't like to completely make a full ellipse. Sometimes I just make half of an ellipse and fill in the details as I go, because your brain is going to fill in the details of what it is you're actually sketching. But you want to, same thing here, you want to lock your wrist and move your entire shoulder and elbow to get these ellipses going. And to adjust the, I don't know what that's called, the width, I guess, this part of it. Just to try different, almost go all the way down from super narrow ellipses like this, which is almost one line. This is a really good exercise too. And then you get bigger, bigger, and all the way down here. And then we can make an axis for this, and maybe even connect this so we create a cylinder. So we combine these two exercises like that. And there we have a cylinder. So this I would recommend doing an entire sheet of paper as well, if not two. So just keep practicing. And as I said, this is not something that you're going to learn within the first couple of months sketching if you're just starting out. This takes time because you have to get your muscles used to this kind of movement. And if you don't have that connection yet, that's a connection that you can't really force. You have to practice over time to get that connection between your brain and your hand. I know a lot of people are. I mean, we're all looking for shortcuts, and especially today when everything seems to be, we want everything right now. Everything is instant. We have food instant, fast food. We have Netflix, or we don't have the tapes anymore. We have digital access to everything. So going back to thinking about, I think that gives us an advantage if you want to become great at something, because not a lot of people have the patience anymore to learn stuff like this, to learn a new skill, or to get in better shape or whatever. Not a lot of people these days have that patience. So that gives you an advantage to get ahead. If you can manage to stay disciplined and to learn, practice every single day, then you're already way ahead of the rest of the people, right? At least that's how I see it. And now I'm just adding some details to this. All right, so let's get into some basic marker sketching. This is exercise number 1 and 2. Super important exercises, both of these, because as I said, you can't build a house on a soft foundation. You have to have a strong foundation before you jump into anything more advanced, right? So keep these exercises in mind. And this is something I do every single day still. After, I don't know, I've been sketching for over 25 years now, I still do these exercises. So for markers, I got a few questions on what kind of markers you want to start with. The brand, if you're just starting out, forget about brand or whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a few shades of one color, that's all you need, okay? So you don't need to go buy the most expensive brands that you find out there if you're starting out. Even I don't do that anymore because it just doesn't make sense to me to spend that much money on things when there are alternatives that work just as well or close to just as well. All right, so start with a few markers. I would recommend you start with, let's say, 5 or 6 markers. Actually, you can start with 3. You can start with 1 if you want to, but to get the shading practicing and stuff like that, I would recommend you go with at least 3 markers. And the color I would recommend is cool gray, because it's a very natural tone. And this thing right here is completely messed up in perspective. You gotta cut it off right here. I think it's better. Just adjust as you go, right? So it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. You can always adjust as you go along. So I'm making these shapes here because we're gonna add markers to them. One is a bit squarish, the other one is more of a round shape. So let's use the markers that I just told you about, which were the cool grays. So if I can find those that are not dried out. Let's see. One cool gray here. We have
couple of cool grays over here, but I do think these are dry though. Hopefully not. Guess we'll find out. There we go. And I want a cool gray, something like a cool gray 4 maybe? Perfect. All right, so when I start with markers, I always like to start with the lightest shade first. In this case, we have all of these cool grays. We have the 2. We have 2 4s for some reason. We have the 7 and we have the 8. Actually, I was looking for a cool gray 6 because that's gonna be right in between these. I can see a cool gray 5, so that'll do. So let's get rid of this. All right, so we have 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8. I don't think I'm gonna use the 8 for now. So I like to start with the lightest shade. Obviously it's cool gray 2 in this case, right? So start with thinking about the light source. Anytime you're sketching, it doesn't matter if you're putting markers or whatever, you always have to have a light source in mind. All right, because that's gonna give you an idea of where to put the shading. And this felt very dry, this marker. Or is it? I don't know. No, it's actually good. So that is my light source, which is visualized by the beautiful arrow up here. It means that the light is coming from here. That gives us a really good reference point. Now we know where to put the shading. If we don't have a light source, we're just gonna add some shading all over the place and it's not gonna look good, or it's not gonna look real. And since it's a round object, that means that the reflections are going to be soft, nice and soft. No hard, I guess, curves, or, well, a curve can't be hard, but you know what I mean. And we also want to keep, I kind of want to keep a highlight on this. So I want to keep some part of this completely white. And let's make the horizon line or the table or whatever it's being reflected in this shape. I'm making that right now. All right, I think that's how far we can go with the cool gray 2. Actually, let's fix this just down here. So the same thing here, the same thing applies to markers as it does with a pen, I think. You gotta keep your hand moving. The faster you go, the smoother the lines. So now I'm jumping into cool gray 5. And just keep adding depth to these reflections. There's nothing more to it, so I'm filling in the reflections we already have with a deep, darker shade. And that's why cool gray is so great, because it's such a natural shade that it works on, it looks good on most sketches. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're sketching, it still looks good with cool gray. I'm not a big fan of rules when it comes to sketching. I don't follow any specific method, or I don't know what you want to call it, but some specific book or something like that when it comes to sketching. I like to keep it, I like to have it more of the artistic side than to keep it strictly perfect in every sense. Like, I don't like to have the perspective completely perfect, because perfection to me it just doesn't look good. It's not interesting. Perfection just, it doesn't surprise me, because I know I know how it's supposed to look. I know what perfection is in the sense of what I'm sketching. So if I'm sketching a car, I don't like to sketch photorealistic cars, because I might as well just take a photo of it and, you know, that would be the perfect sketch in a way of that car. So that's totally up to you to decide if you want to follow. I think it might be a good idea to start with following rules in perspective and setting up grid systems and stuff like that when you start out. But experiment with freestyle sketching as well. So now we're jumping into Cool Gray 7. And I'm using Cool Gray 7 to just add the baseline of this sketch or this object. Might actually use a fine tip for this. Almost never happens. Yeah, I guess that's cool for this object. Now the difference with this style here, this is more difficult to sketch than a cube because the surfaces are not as defined as they are on a cube, right? So we have this, you know, we have surface number 1 up here. 1, this would be 2 and 3 in relation to our light source. So we're gonna go from lightest to darker. So surface number 1, and I'm gonna go across the border here. Doesn't matter, because we're gonna fix it later anyway. So since surface number 1 is the lightest and I'm using Cool Gray 2, that means that the whole object is at least going to be a Cool Gray 2. So I might as well fill it in all the way. There we go. And I'm gonna go into Cool Gray 4 now for surface number 2. It's really basic sketching here. But I wanna, you know, just keep in mind the speed of the marker. If it's a bit dry like this one is, you're gonna still get the you know, stripe marks. But if you have brand new markers, you want to keep the speed up to get the smooth lines of the marker. And for surface number 3, I don't know if we're going to do Cool Gray 7. That seems a bit excessive. Let's do Cool Gray 5 first and see how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks better. And then we can use Cool Gray 7 to just outline the baseline here. That's the plan. Alright, so let's do the Cool Gray 7 like we did here. We're just using this for the outline of, or the baseline of the sketch. So I hope this video is helpful for you, especially if you're starting out with this kind of thing. It's a lot of fun to do, and it would be cool if more people just started sketching stuff. I think we need more of that. As you can see, it's a bit messed up in perspective, but that's what I was telling you about. I saved probably how many minutes? 10-15 minutes by just you know, trying to get it right in perspective the first time instead of setting up an entire grid system for it. And I would that's a trade that I'm happy with, you know, getting the perspective a bit off, not a big deal. Saving 15 minutes, That's a bigger deal for me. Now this outline, you can do it if you want, or you can skip it. It's kind of a style thing, up to you if you like it. Or I didn't do it on the ellipse, but I'm doing it on this box right here. So I'm using the fine tip of this marker to do this. I think I'm doing it because this perspective was off, so I'm trying to emphasize the correct perspective by adding a black line around it. There we go. So that was our basic sketch series of, you know, getting started with design sketching. Start with these two exercises before you jump into any markers. That's my recommendation, to get the basic shapes down. So make a few cubes in perspective, make a, you know, triangle or a pyramid, that's what it's called. Make some circles, ellipses, cylinders like that. Once you feel comfortable with that, or once you have a few of them down on the paper, pick up a few markers and have fun with it. Just play around with them. Only thing you need to do when sketching with marker to get it correctly is to keep the light source in mind. That's all. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that it was useful to you. And if you did, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna make a lot more videos like this one, and we're gonna get more advanced as we go. I feel that it's time for a car sketch, possibly in my next video. Haven't really sketched cars in over, I don't know. It's been a few weeks since I sketched cars. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic day or night or morning or whatever the time is where you are located in the world. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Take it easy.